Hey guys, today we are back with Krista. She is building her bookkeeping business step by step and taking us along for the process. If you remember, Krista is my real life friend, and now we are on month 2 of her starting a bookkeeping business. And this is when it felt really real to her. And what she told me is the biggest thing she did that made it feel real was she posted it on social media. And this was her way of telling family and friends, I have a bookkeeping business, I'm accepting clients. So as you might imagine, there's a lot of thoughts and emotions that go on with that. So we will talk about that later in the video. As a quick review, in the first month, she set up her LLC, got a business license, opened a business bank account, and she had already completed some training in QuickBooks Online. And so I have a whole video that's entitled Month 1 that you can go back and get more detail about if you're interested. I am being pretty loose with the word month, so all of these things didn't exactly fit into perfect boxes of like month 1, month 2, especially because Krista is kind of just doing things slowly when she has time around her kids' schedules. But it is definitely possible to do these bookkeeper tasks within month 1 and month 2 if you would like. So some of the big things she did in this time period was she got her website going and she figured out how to do it for free, so I'll let you know about that. She kept doing training, she updated her LinkedIn profile, got business cards, and then announced on social media that her business was open and she was looking for clients. So we'll go through all of that, what she wished she would have done differently, what worked out well, and what was hard. One thing that Krista worked on a lot during month 2 was really refining her systems and getting her paperwork together so she would be completely ready when that first client walked through the door. And so these things we call SOPs, standard operating procedures, so just like all the stuff that she needs to operate her business. So I think there's 4 different things that she mentioned. The first one was a client questionnaire. So I have a free version of this that you can download. I'll try to find it and put it in the description box. So Krista said she combined mine with one from Bookkeeper Launch and kind of like took pieces from each one and tweaked it to fit her business. So mine is kind of designed for like an initial meeting with a client. So like, what are your pain points? What kind of bank accounts do you use? Like you're using like PayPal, or you're using credit cards? Do you have any employees? Do you have a payroll company? Like just questions that helps you get like a sense of their business, honestly, so you can see if you are a good fit to even work with them. And she said she did actually send this questionnaire to one of her first like potential clients. I talked about the 7 people that she's met with in a previous video, so you can go back and watch that if you want. But one of them was a construction company, and she decided she didn't want to work for him because he needed someone in the office, kind of like more of an office manager. But she did get to try out this client questionnaire for one of these first like potential clients. She also has kind of like a smaller version of that is called a client intake form. And so that, she said, is on her website. I haven't actually looked at it, but that is something more that people can just fill out with maybe like 5 questions or an initial, like very surface level bit of information about their company, even to see if you want to interview them. So intake form, and then the questionnaire is the other one I call it. The questionnaire is longer and designed to be talked about with your client. Then she has a contract ready. Some people call this a letter of engagement. So basically like the expectations, like the contract, the legal part that says, you know, what are you guys both agreeing to, you and the client. This contract, she said, she got from Bookkeeper Launch. She tweaked it a bit to reflect her business. It's sometimes recommended that you run this by a lawyer because it is kind of a legal document. Krista did not do that, and honestly, I feel like people are maybe kind of getting away from that as we have more and more like online resources to do this kind of thing. But if you want to make sure you are compliant, a lawyer is never a bad idea. And we talked a bit about pricing too. So pricing is a really hard thing, especially starting out, because it's hard to know how much to charge people. And of course, you don't want to be undercharging because then you feel like you're not getting what you're worth. If you overcharge, you feel like you're going to miss out on some clients. But Krista said she was using the pricing calculator, again, from Bookkeeper Launch. They have a pretty robust like way to figure out pricing. So I think Krista is going to try to do fixed pricing. So just quote an amount per month for a client. And Bookkeeper Launch has this system where you can kind of like make a little presentation, and then they want you to call up the client probably on Zoom and then actually go through the whole presentation with a client. And this is mostly focused on pricing because they really suggest that you show the value that you're bringing as a bookkeeper, not just like, oh, you're paying me $500 a month, sweet, okay, thanks. But no, what are you getting from that? You're getting peace of mind. You're getting these reports. You're getting a better look at your finances that can help you make more informed decisions. So I asked her if she was going to use that structure, that like pricing presentation thing, because I've never used it. It seems a little bit overkill for the clients that I have gotten so far in my bookkeeping career. And she said she hadn't felt the need yet to do that, but she was happy that it was an option. So she's like, I have it in the back of my mind. if needed. And I do think that's pretty wise because I noticed that some clients, when you meet with them, they already know they want to hire you. And they come into like an interview more of like, okay, when can we get started? Can I train you on this? Can I give you access to this? Can we, they want to get going because they're probably stressed and they feel like their books are pretty disorganized. So for that type of client, they don't really need like a big formal presentation about pricing. I think probably if I decided to grow my bookkeeping business more and, if I had like 20 to 30 clients now, probably some of those clients would have needed like a presentation or more convincing of my price structure. But you can definitely do it either way, kind of depending on what your goals are and what types of clients you're taking on. And some of my clients have been choosing between multiple bookkeepers or interviewing multiple bookkeepers. Definitely check out my website, FinePoints.biz, if you want some more bookkeeper resources. You can subscribe to my channel or join it if you want to connect a little further. I also have a whole bunch of stuff linked in my description box that'll probably help you out if you're thinking about starting a bookkeeping business. And just the final SOP that Krista mentioned is she has a standard operating procedure of just like an onboarding procedure. So I think that's more of a checklist for herself to just remember like, okay, what do I do when? Like, okay, first of all, I send them this questionnaire and then I send them a contract and then I send them this welcome email and then we meet for half an hour or whatever the process is, just like her own procedures of onboarding a client. So then if you write it down, you remember it and you don't have to recreate the wheel every single client. Honestly, because that's what I did when I was beginning. I took for the first couple of years of my bookkeeping business, I didn't have any kind of systems. I would just be kind of make stuff up or look back at the email I'd sent to my first client and send it to my second client because I felt like I was just kind of winging it. I didn't really have formal training or a big program that I took at the very beginning. So I would recommend learning from my mistakes and put some of that stuff in process now because it'll really help you out in the long run. Another really big thing Krista did in month 2 was she officially opened her bookkeeping business. And how she did this was she just posted on her personal Instagram and her Facebook about her new bookkeeping business. So she said, I'm open for business. This is the name of my business. This is the type of clients I want. And this is my website. So she directed people to her website and she said this is actually a really, really hard step to take because it kind of takes you out of the planning phase and into oh, I'm actually truly a bookkeeper now. And Krista said she definitely felt some imposter syndrome with this launch of her business. So I have a little clip of her talking about how she felt when she launched. So I'll play it now.
I think I had a lot of imposter syndrome until I told people I started a business. I told myself that once my kids were in school this fall, I was going to do it. And then once they were in school, it was oh no, I have to do this. I said I was going to do this. And then I started doubting myself, well, can I do this? And so, but once I did it, once I posted it, once I shared about it, started talking to people about it when we're out and about, whether it be at meetings with my husband and telling his coworkers what I do. Once I started talking about it, it's getting easier and easier. And it's oh, I'm a bookkeeper and I work from home and I help small businesses. And sometimes I still kind of do feel like a little fraud because I don't have any official clients yet. I know a lot about bookkeeping. I've learned a lot. I know what I'm doing. I know how to read the reports. I know how to reconcile an account. I know how to categorize transactions. I know how to fill out an invoice. I know how to do all these things. It's just a matter of now just getting the client to do it for. I know how to do it. So I think the scariest part was telling people that this is what I do.
So I thought that was very relatable that she felt unsure. She felt imposter syndrome. She was she really had to push herself to advertise her business. And she did say she had a really great response. So people were very supportive. Tons of people commented on her social media posts, good job. A couple people texted her, congrats, or they chatted with her in person when she saw them. And so honestly, I really feel like people are interested in you and your life and what's going on with you. It's pretty big news that you just started a business. There's many life events that people are excited. If you have a baby, maybe if you buy a new house, your true friends who are supportive are gonna be there for you and be excited for you in this step. And honestly, I feel like bookkeeping is not a very pushy or annoying business to start. We all know that there are certain business types that are more salesy or that can come across as kind of obnoxious. Personally, I do not feel like bookkeeping is like this. I think you can just say you're a bookkeeper and then people will keep that in mind. And then over time, if they come across someone who needs a bookkeeper, they'll think of you and then hopefully connect you to people in their network. Krista said she also worked a little bit in LinkedIn. So she has a business account there and she said she actually closed it down 5 years ago and she's I really regret closing down my LinkedIn because I can understand that. You can't always see into the future of what you're gonna start and why it might be useful because at the time you're oh, I don't need LinkedIn, I don't ever use it. But she does wish she had some of those connections from 10, 15 years ago or even farther back. And Bookkeeper Launch does push a lot of marketing on LinkedIn. I haven't really done that, and Krista said she hasn't gotten into it too much. I think wherever you dedicate time, you can be successful. So if you want to do LinkedIn and you join groups and you post a lot on LinkedIn, I think that is a very feasible way to get clients. It's just not something me or Krista personally have used. All of these tasks are kind of like marketing based. So as a piece of that as well, Krista worked on her website. And I did talk about that a little bit in the last video and showed you clips of her website, but she used Google Sites, which she got for free, because I think that the URL has like Google Sites or something in the URL. So that's why it's free. So if you want like a really custom URL, you do have to pay a little bit per year for that. But great for her. She got her website all set up. She created a logo in Canva. Also, she found her images on Canva as well. And she said she would just tell ChatGPT a little bit about her business. Maybe something like, I'm starting a bookkeeping business looking for these type of clients. Here are some of the services I have. Here's the area I live in. Can you write me like a paragraph for my website? And then ChatGPT would write it. And then she said she tweaked it a good amount from ChatGPT just so it would sound more personalized to her. And I'm kind of the same way with ChatGPT. I find that if I'm kind of like stuck in a rut, it helps me like get going. It gives me ideas, and I don't use every single thing from it, but it's definitely a helpful tool. And then I just had a few random questions that I asked her that didn't necessarily fit into any of the other categories. But first of all, I was asking her like, what did she feel like was like the biggest cringiest thing that she had to do, that she really kind of had to force herself? And her answer was basically that posting on social media to friends and family and just telling people about her business and talking about it and just putting yourself out there. It's kind of vulnerable, but again, she did get a lot of support, so it ended up okay, but it does feel kind of cringy. I asked her how long she works per week on stuff, and I think I'm actually going to do a dedicated video on this and like her time management and how she fit it into her life. But her short answer is, I've heard her say 2 to 4, and then I also heard her say 4 to 5 hours per week. So I'm sure it really varies week to week. And one thing that I thought was interesting, she said she's been taking webinars. I think that is a way, it's like a live thing that you show up for. It's kind of like you're signed up and you're like almost forced to be there. You're not really forced, but it's just like, it's a commitment that you make and then you show up for it. And so I think sometimes when you're working or studying from home and no one's really paying attention to what you're doing, it's hard to kind of follow through with some of those things. And Krista is self-motivated. But just the fact that webinars were helpful, I thought was interesting, because then I guess you like feel a little more community then. Because it can be really lonely just like sitting, figuring out everything yourself. So webinars just kind of like give her a little like spark, I think. She said she tries to do like 1 a week. And she says she really likes the flexibility of the work, so she's working it in nap times. She said her daughter goes to like a cheer competition that's like an all-day like tournament thing, and so there's a lot of downtime. So she can just go sit in like a corner or sit in her car or something when her daughter isn't performing and just work on bookkeeping stuff. Next question I asked her was about mistakes. Like, is there anything she would do differently or things that she wished she hadn't done? And the only thing that came to mind for her was that Coursera course. It is the Intuit Bookkeeper certification, which bookkeeper training can be a little confusing. If you need me to answer questions about it in the comments, just leave a comment. But it's different than the free certification. This one is through the website Coursera. She wasn't unhappy that she took it, but she just said it was very technical. That was the word she kept using. It was technical. And even sometimes when Bookkeeper Launch would teach the same thing, like say for example, debits and credits. The Coursera course was more technical. The Bookkeeper Launch course was more like hands-on or like practical to explain more like as a bookkeeper how you would use debits and credits. And this video is not an advertisement for Bookkeeper Launch, but I do have an affiliate link for it in my description box. If you heard about it from me or if I convince you to take that course, it does help out my small business if you use my link, and it doesn't cost you anything. The next question I asked her was, it's a little long to describe, but basically like some people, when they take training, they just want to keep training and training and they don't feel like they're ready to take on a client. So I was asking her like, do you feel ready after the training you got? Or do you feel like you need to do more before you take a client? And she was basically like, oh, I'm ready to go. And even though she does feel that imposter syndrome sometimes, overall she realizes that she's ready to get a client and work for a simple client and use some of those skills that she's been learning. And of course she might come across stuff she doesn't know, and then she can learn that, and then maybe she'll take some more training later, depending on maybe on a certain subject if she wants to specialize in something. But overall, I think that's a really good way to be. She's cautious, but she's confident. And every person approaches this a little bit differently, but I would encourage you, if you've taken a couple courses, if you've set up your business, but you're afraid to get clients, maybe just try to get one simple